All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting for the Rutland Town School Board to order at 6:05. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sure. Would you like to share?
Yes, the vision of the GRCSU is engaged, empowered, and prepared for tomorrow. And the GRCSU mission is that our mission is to engage and empower students to achieve academic and personal success, preparing them to be responsible citizens who embrace a love for learning.
Thank you. I will take a motion for approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any additions, deletions, or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Staff and student highlights. Surreal?
Oh, is that me?
Yeah.
I think he was just going to update on basketball. We didn't have a teacher sign up this time. So do you want to just give an update on basketball, Tim?
For winter sports, yeah.
Yeah, winter sports. Yeah.
You want to offer?
Hi, all. How are you? Just to update on our winter sports, this year we are having a combined 7th and 8th grade for both boys and girls, which means we will have one team driven on numbers. So that schedule has been put together, and there's a person in your packet for today for our girls coach. We did find a candidate after search, so hopefully you're okay with that. Our boys coach is returning from last year. Hopefully going forward, we'll be able to field 2 teams for a 7th grade and 8th grade team moving forward, but numbers drive the whole system, and we're in that flow because our 8th grade is a really low number wise group, and it's been kind of an issue coming in with different sports throughout. So that's kind of where we sit. First time in a while that we've had a combined boys team. Actually, it's the first time in like 24 years that we've had a combined boys team. We've had a combined girl team before, but not a boys. So again, driven by numbers. We did have a very successful fall with our season. Lots of people participating. We had huge groups for our soccer teams and our cross country teams. So that's kind of where we're at. So you have one in front of you. My second part is, I know it's budgeting time. I will tell you that it's getting harder and harder to find coaches. Good part of the reason that I found recently is that we don't pay enough. That's just a fact. Looking around the district and looking around our area, we pay minimal. I'm asking that you're building your budget, that you would look to increase that. I did the math line with Mr. Hescock just a few minutes ago just to double check. And a basketball coach puts in about 190 hours over the course of 13 weeks. They get $1,000. They make $5 an hour. It's not like you're going to get rich coaching. I've coached my entire life. I never got rich by it. I did it for a reason, but it actually paid for my gas. So I'm asking you to think about seriously increasing the budget for athletics. I know it's around 11,000 for coaches right now. We have 11 coaches. We have 11 sports. It's 11,000. I'm asking you to at least double or triple that so that we can retain people moving forward, as well as maybe adding extra in for our clubs. We have clubs that pay $250. After taxes, it's probably $60, and a lot of people split it. So nobody's going to get rich at anything, but at least you're going to keep people for a while, that I found. If you are at least paying kind of decently, then people are going to stay. Otherwise, we're going to be in a kind of situation where we can't find anybody, and then therefore we don't offer a program. So as you're building a budget, I would hope that you would consider that as part of it. Here's a prime example. Our rock climbing club, which has been very popular and very successful over the years. It's really only one place to climb. Well, they charge $400 for a membership. $400 per person for a membership to the rock climbing to be part of that. Or it's $10 a session for an hour. So we've had multiple extracurricular activities, whether it be band or what have you. And years ago, we tried to put a schedule together, and for whatever reason, our group did not go with that schedule. There are, for example, I think if you over and polled me, and I could be wrong, but a 5th and 6th grade coach might get paid $1,500 to coach basketball. We pay $1,000 for a middle school coach. So I'm just asking you to think of that. I'll gladly be on any kind of committee moving forward to help in that case, but with our size budget, I would ask that you consider how important athletics are to the overall well-being of kids at our school and at a middle school level for many reasons. And we also have a large number of kids. As a matter of fact, I do the awards at the end of the year. In last year's 8th grade class, there were 6 kids out of the 50-something kids that didn't play a sport for school, but they did play a sport outside of school, like football, for example. So I'm just asking you to understand that it is a very important part. Many of you have coached these sports, have kids that are going through them. Like I said, I'm not trying to get them rich, but $5 an hour is sometimes a slap in the face. And I just want that out there so that if you're thinking about it, it's just a great opportunity to increase it so that we can keep candidates and be competitive with other groups, because everyone's looking for coaches. And a lot of times, if you can make $3,000 over here or $1,000 here, that's like a no-brainer where they're going to go. So as you're putting your budget together, again, I am more than willing to sit down and engage in any kind of conversation and help out in any way, shape, or form. But that's just kind of my 2 cents. And as always, if you have any questions about athletics, give me a jingle. Everything's on our website for the most part. And just moving forward, looking forward to a nice winter season. Do you have any questions?
Thank you for that
Crickets.
information.
Crickets? All right.
It's snowing. Sorry.
It is snowing, yeah, yeah. And of course you have tomorrow off, so there you go. That's a dope. That's all I got. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very
Mr. Rowe.
much. All right.
You have open basketball still,
I'm
right?
gonna go down.
Yes.
Waiting right here for me. So
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rowe.
All right.
Teacher staff community comments.
If I stand up here. Hello, I'm Caitlin Grote, and I bring a message from our union. So, dear Greater Rutland County Supervisory Union Board members, we, the undersigned teachers and support staff, call on the GRCSU Board to settle a fair contract with the Greater Rutland County Education Association for our certified staff. Despite many months of bargaining, teachers and GRCSU have been working without a contract since July 1st, 2025. The GRCSU board continues to put forward insufficient offers that leave certified staff worse off with increases that do not keep up with inflation. We need a fair contract that allows GRCSU to recruit and retain highly qualified staff so we can continue to create the educational environment our students deserve. A fair contract would include improvements such as salary increases sufficient to lift GRCSU's starting salary to be on par with other districts in the region. Reasonable guardrails on certified staff time during the workday and over the course of the work year. Stronger protections to certify staff facing reassignment. In order to best serve our students, we need our schools to be fully staffed. We want our schools to remain competitive with districts and other employees in the area, making GRCSU a more attractive place to work and live. We believe you have the power to make this happen. Sincerely, the undersigned employees of the GRCSU, and I have copies for all the board members. Yes. Jeff.
I'll be here live.
Okay, Linda, and you will deliver this to Colin. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
like the buck.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Appreciate that. Anyone else? I will be looking for, approval of the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Jeff. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next up, finance.
Okay. So number one, if there's any questions on the monthly reports, I'll take those before we get into the other items. Okay. So there is a cost driver presentation that is in the packet. We're not going to go through it, but feel free to take a look at that. If there's any questions, you could ask them. If you have already reviewed it and you have questions, you can ask them now. Otherwise, you could ask them at the next meeting. It's similar to the document that we presented last year. It's just some of the items that are affecting our budgets in Vermont and across the nation. I mean, things like healthcare, inflation, stuff like that. If there's no questions on that, we'll go into the budget. So in your packet was the first draft of the FY27 budget. The first page is labeled a summary of changes. That just highlights all the larger items that are impacting your budget this year. Fortunately, we are looking at a very good budget this year to start, and that's mainly due to a few items. Mainly, last year we had a large surplus, and so we included a large expense item to offset that, to do one-time projects such as the HVAC and the asbestos abatement in the tune of $450,000. We knew that was a one-time expense, and that is now coming out of the budget for FY27. So that is helping our FY27 both expense and educational spending. The first draft that you have in front of you is up. The actual total expense is down by $34,000, which is a 0.3% decrease. Education spending, which is the amount we need to raise in property taxes, is up by $208,000 or 1.9%. Education spending is total expense minus any local revenues. And so the reason that education spending is up and expenses down is because we have less revenues than last year. So last year we had a $424,000 surplus, and this year we only have a $265,000 surplus that we're moving forward into the FY27 budget. In addition, we had an assessment refund last year in last year's budget of $119,000. This year's only includes a $46,000 refund. And in the packet was a detailed sheet on the surplus and the portion that was going back to Rutland Town. This was discussed at the last SU board meeting and approved. Any questions on that surplus before we move? So some of the other items that are impacting the budget, health insurance is estimated to increase by 7.3%. That is the first single digit increase that we've had in the last few years. We've had 12 and 16% in the past. And the impact of that is $55,000. We did increase the repairs line by $30,000 so that we can handle some more of the larger projects on an annual basis rather than waiting until they get to be larger projects and having to either do a large one-time expense or a bond or anything like that. Transportation expenses down due to increase in revenue. Secondary students, there's a 3% increase built into the rates. And I do have currently 8 additional students built into that number. And the reason for that is we have a smaller 8th grade class that's graduating this year than we do the following year. And so I didn't want to recognize all those savings in this budget. And then when we go to build FY28 budget, then we have to, there's I think a 15 student difference. And so we would have to build those 15 students back into the budget in the following year, which would have a significant impact at $20,000 a student. 20,000 plus per student. So I'm trying to just to level the dips and the spikes in the tuition budget. SU assessment is based on the second draft. The SU board did not approve the SU budget at the November meeting. We were waiting on some pretty large special ed numbers from the state, which had not been sent to districts yet. So the plan is to approve that at the December meeting. It does include the $46,000 in SU surplus, which I mentioned earlier. This budget includes an FTE increase of 0.2 for guidance, and includes the FY25 Rutland Town surplus. And it includes tuition revenue of 6 students. They currently have 7 students that are scheduled, but just to be conservative, I removed one of those students from our revenues. Is there any questions?
What's still in flux as far like there's a couple of things that are highlighted. Is that anything?
Yeah, so the main item that's still in flux is vocational tuition. Waiting on the 6 semester rolling average from the state. We are also waiting on an estimate for the SRO. I estimated a $5,000 increase. So last year, you can't use last year's actuals because we didn't have the SRO for the full year. So I'm currently estimating 70,000. We are waiting for the estimate from the town for that number. We have reached out.
When you say that spending is up 1.9% comparatively, like over the past few years, what has the spending been? Has been up? Was it similar to that or a lot more? Was it ever down? I'm just curious.
So a 1.9% increase in education spending is real good in this environment.
Yeah.
The last few years, many districts have been seeing increases between 5 and 7% in educational spending. And that's due to increases in health insurance, inflation, which is impacting everything from our secondary tuition costs, supplies, wages, and other benefit costs. And then I can tell you last year, our education spending was up by 4.2%.
And that was still within a range that was reasonable. This is,
Yeah, we had that large surplus
Yeah.
from both the SU and from Rutland Town, so we were a little bit lower due to those surpluses.
thank you. All the information.
The budget is just one piece of the equation when we look at tax rates. So even though our budget is looking good at the 1.9%, there's still the other state factors that will play into it. And so there's the yield, which will be an estimate in the December 1st tax commissioner letter. And early information that we're getting is that's going to have a big impact due to estimates for statewide education spending as well as drops in enrollment. The number that we've heard is there's going to be a net 11% increase in property taxes based on that tax commissioner recommendation. Now, that doesn't necessarily flow down to the local level at that 11% because you have to look at all the other factors, which is our actual spending. There's Rutland Town's student count, which we don't have that number yet. We should have maybe a better estimate for that in December. And then the CLA would be the last major piece, which we won't have that until January.
Town.
I thought they did the student count as of like September or whatever, or are they still jockeying around with what the equalized pupil calculation is?
So the long-term weighted ADM is based on a 20-day window, which is during the first 30 days of the school year. A lot of weighting that goes into that calculation. So we don't receive the information from the state, which includes the weighting, until towards the end of November. By statute, it's required for us to have it by December 15th, I believe. I believe that's the date.
And when, just for the public's knowledge, when you say weighted, what does that mean? Are we just adding up total amount of kids in that 20-day window, or do different kids count for different weights?
So the ADM is a count of total students based on how long they were enrolled during that 20-day window. So if a student was enrolled for the full 20 days, so the 30-day window is day 11 through day 30 of the school year. And so if a student was enrolled the full 20 days, they count as one student for ADM purposes. If they were only there during 10 of those 20 days, then they count as a 0.5 student. The state then takes those ADM numbers and they weight them based on several different factors, the largest being poverty rates. So a student that's free and reduced gets weighted very heavily. They also weight it based on level of instruction. So middle school and high school students are weighted more heavily than elementary students. Pre-K are weighted less heavily than elementary students. There's also, they look at population density, small schools, ELL students. So there's several factors that they look into, and that's the piece that we would really be waiting for.
Louis, have they talked about changing the weight? Because I know a lot of us don't understand why like a elementary is weighted less than a middle or high school.
So the answer is this: the thought process is that an elementary student would cost less than a high school student because there's other factors that go into educating a high school student. The foundation formula looks at new weighting, if that, as part of Act 73, if that successfully gets initiated, there would be weighting in as part of Act 73 in the foundation formula that would be similar but different than the current weighting model.
Do other states do something similar, or is Vermont unique in the weighting of students?
Yes, and states that use the foundation formula.
They do too.
Weighting it.
Okay.
Louis, for free and reduced, is that something, and I just correct my memory, is that something that our people have to sign up for? Or are they grabbing data from somewhere?
So there's two methods. So there's what's called the direct cert list, which gets created and sent to us monthly. And those are students that qualify for state programs like state or federal programs like SNAP or Three Squares Vermont. Those students and all family members of that student in the household are considered directly certified. In addition, for the second method, families can't fill out the household, excuse me, the household income form, and they could be eligible through what's called income guidelines or category guidelines based on their economic status if they don't qualify via direct cert. This changed through Act 127, if everyone remembers, about, it was 3 years ago, because of the changes in the weighting in Act 127. Rutland Town saw a large spike in the tax rate, and then there was changes the following year again, which then helped us out and brought our tax rate back down. But because Rutland Town's free and reduced percentage is less than the average in the state, and definitely less than, it's the lowest in RSU, that was negatively affecting your weighted student count. One consequence for having statewide free meals is that families no longer have to fill out the free and reduced application to get the free meal, And so statewide, we've seen a decrease in parents filling out that household income form or the application. We do our best to try to promote that. I mean, we send stuff home in our newsletter. There's a spot on our website, a banner that goes across it, hoping to get people to fill out that form as much as possible, because it does, even though it doesn't impact their meals, they receive a free meal either way, it does have a significant impact on our funding.
Yeah, that was going to be, one of my points, that with universal free lunch, obviously people don't have to fill out forms anymore, but we would encourage everyone, regardless of income, to fill out the forms to help if we could. Obviously, some people have a lot of pride and all of that, but filling out this data helps everybody around town. Fill out the forms if you can.
Any questions from the board? Or future steps? I guess.
So I would be looking for some direction from the board as to your thoughts on the budget, anything that you would like to discuss as far as additions, deletions. Maybe probably talk a little bit about facilities as well.
I saw something in the packet.
There is a 5-year plan that Kelly had included in the packet. So this budget, page 5, shows that repair and maintenance line going from 95,000 to 125,000. That's the $30,000 increase.
Louis, did you share, I know it was Greg received this late morning, the estimate with the board on the projector and the equipment for concerts, etc.?
So I didn't see it in the packet.
No.
I didn't know if you were going to mention it during your principals report.
Okay, I can, yeah.
But I guess now would probably be a good time to
Yeah.
our budget.
Yeah. So Neil and Greg got an estimate to help for like a sound system, because Aaron Audette brings a lot of his own equipment for us to use for plays, etc. And we don't have a projector. And we talked about this last spring when we had, or we were going to use our surplus. So we just received that estimate. Greg received it for about $88,000 is what the estimate came in as. So Louis, I did share it with Chris too. Louis has it as well. So when we have a presenter that comes, it's a lot of time with tech, facilities, etc., to set up, break down. It's not the best. And the other concern is that as much as we want to think Aaron Audette is going to be here forever, every time we have a concert or a play, he allows us to use his equipment. And in the past, prior to Aaron, we used to rent those things.
We used to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably needs to happen again.
So that cost is not accounted for in this budget.
Mm-hmm.
The other large cost that's on the 5-year plan, which I would say could not be covered in this budget, would be new bleachers. I think those smaller items probably could be covered. But the larger item, which is the bleachers, would not be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the big ticket item, Sarah.
Yeah, that's something that we've been looking at. And for bleachers, we do have a machine that helps us like pull out, for the wear and tear. And as we've talked about before, they just don't make things like they used to. So Linda knows when she was teaching, I think 3rd grade, we've needed some desks. And she like sanded and painted, and the desks that we have, I mean, they will last 30 some odd years. Some of these desks, they're just beautifully made. And so when we get new tables and desks, for the most part, they just don't last as long. So it's just something to consider too, that saying they don't make things like they used to. So the bleachers, I mean, they're nice. I know, Chris, you've purchased bleachers and been involved, I think, at Pulteney and Proctor, and I had some advice for just extra panels and stuff like that because if they break. So that's been in there. And I think what we focus on is just our building. We want to make sure our facility is up to date. And I wasn't going to mention the roof until later, correct?
I think those are things we do this year.
Right, but we have to ask for capital separate funds for that for this year, but should we talk about that later?
I think it probably would relate to this discussion.
Okay.
I was gonna mention, so in the packet is the capital improvement funds balance and the activity that we've had since 2023. So that's another source of funds that are available. So currently 137,000 that if you didn't want to put it in the budget, those funds could be used for these larger projects. And so you can talk about the roof now.
Yeah, I shared at the last board meeting, there's some buckling underneath,
What,
The
where
roof.
is that?
what's that?
Where is that?
It's right in front of like the cafeteria, right in front of the, those cafeteria doors. You can kind of see bulging underneath those shingles there.
Okay.
So Kelly, I'm just looking at my principal's report, so I make sure I speak correctly.
27,000.
Yeah, so we're asking the board if we could use 25,000 to repair that. We have two estimates right now. We're waiting for a third. We have 19,000 and 21,000, but the higher amount just allows us a little flexibility if they find something underneath there. What are you thinking?
What happened? Okay.
What happened?
How it happened?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Well, there are different parts of the roof that need to be repaired.
Yeah.
The back corner of the gym. That corner, soffit's all falling off and hanging off.
So I think Kelly's thoughts were the fasteners for the solar, just from the wind and time over time, may have just moving back and forth, creating just small pockets to allow in moisture.
I just know there's some other spots that need, that corner has been an issue for years.
I mean, is that I'm not opposed to having fixed for sure, but is the capital improvement the way that is that because of timing of,
Yeah, it needs to be fixed like right away.
and it's not,
And that's a $25,000 ticket item.
So one thing we can do, just because it's early in the year, we don't know how much the cap of his repair money will spend and how much he'll have left over. The board could approve to use capital maintenance, and then if at the end of the year he has money left over, or we're running a surplus, we can make the decision to move that back to the local budget. And that's something we do on a regular basis. If we have the money in the budget to fund it, then we'll just use our regular budget and move it back to the capital.
because it's within the same fiscal year.
Mhm.
We need a motion for that.
Probably.
So I know that's kind of separate. So some of the things that aren't in the budget are the bleachers and the sound system, projector, all of that we just got last minute estimate for this afternoon. And then we would like to ask the board to use 25,000 of the capital improvement fund to fix the roof.
I feel like the roof's an immediate thing, so I'd take a motion on that under,
I will make a motion to borrow the 25,000 to make their roof repairs immediately.
any discussion? Other than favor?
I,
Aye. Motion passed. Under the Wilson's recommendation, moving it back if we have that opportunity later in the fiscal. That's taken care of. And then, so wish list thing was the sound system, which you just mentioned. Do some conversation on coaching aspect.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think for clubs too, I think that's something like, for instance, we had two people here that run the spelling bee club and they get $250 split between the two of them. Taxes taken out. Yeah. So I know a lot of, we've spoken to a number of people that just it's a big time commitment. And I think sometimes when a grid or something else is used for coaching, but if you're making $1,000 for the last 8 years, we've definitely had some people, which I won't name, that just says I can make 3 times. Like, I love it, would love to stay, but I just can't for that cost. It doesn't even cover gas, like to and from where I'm going. And it's tough. I mean, we've talked about it since COVID. It's very tough to find coaches, and we've been fortunate with
We
parents.
need to keep up with the times, and that means spending money to pay for people. And it's our teachers, our administrators, everybody. We need to make sure that everybody is fairly taken care of. And this is just one of those things that I'm a little embarrassed that we've been paying this little amount when other schools are paying. So we need to step up to the plate and pay everybody.
I would like to, you can come back with some actual factual, like, numbers on what people are getting paid. That would be,
So do you want me to compare what other schools are paying,
I
or?
don't know, within SU, within, kind of border schools, anything besides what I was just given would be good, because I don't
Yeah.
really know.
So I'd like to recommend, 2 things. One, that I think what we actually pay the coaches and what we budget, I think we should handle those separately. We've needed to update the SU-wide extracurricular schedule for a while now, just so that we are paying consistently across our SU, for one. We have different schools, even within the same district, paying different amounts, and they can range pretty greatly. And so that's just there was a committee that tried to do that a few years ago, and they were unsuccessful. I think that's something that we need to put as a priority to try to do again this year. So I think that's one piece, and I would hold off on approving any changes to wages until we can see if make another go at that and try to get that accomplished. The second piece would be the budget. So we can budget for an increase without knowing what we're actually going to pay, because we need to set the budget now, but we have 8 months before we actually need to start issuing contracts that we can work on the actual the amounts that we're going to pay people. So we currently have 11,000 budgeted. We can come back with a recommendation at the next meeting as to what we think we should increase the budget amount to. But we wouldn't actually approve any increases to the wages until later on in the year.
And I remember contracts used to have the clubs and extracurricular was part of the master agreement. Is that not true anymore?
So extracurricular being athletics is no longer part of the master agreement. Co-curricular, which would be clubs, advisor type positions and stuff like that, is still part of the master agreement.
So we don't really have a control over that until it's all negotiated. It's part of the negotiation
I mean,
process.
yes and no, but I think now would not be a time to be making any changes until we have a settled contract and know what that looks like.
Okay. But the sports you said are separate from that.
Correct.
Okay. More important.
What about like the standards board? Is that paid? Like,
That's part of the master agreement.
and is everybody paid the same amount in that?
No.
Oh,
And that's just a consequence of several mergers over the last few years, and with no updates to that amount to make it consistent across our districts or even schools.
Agreement. There's no agreement. Been negotiated, but it hasn't been settled. And it's a minimum amount in that contract. So
We should be able to, members of the public commenting during the meeting right now.
Okay, well, I mean, it's a conversation that I'm willing to have. Like I said, I mean, there's the dollars and cents to me personally, as far as this goes, is one thing, but like, you know, yeah, that's
The only thing I got to say is, I mean, they're saying 11,000, but the budget says athletic wages, 20,333.
That probably counts for officials
Refs.
and refs. Yeah, and we've
Well,
had
that's a
some
different
people,
line.
oh, we've had some past coaches that said they will ref instead or do the clock because it's just clock in, clock out.
So, yeah, so I was actually using Mike's number that he gave, 11,000. It's actually, there's $12,330 for coaches. So it's a little bit more than, the other 8,000 is for the AD salary.
Yeah, and he was probably referring to 11 because we have the combined this year too.
It just doesn't say that in the budget.
Yeah,
So-
and these are good questions because the community will ask us these things too.
Small. Sounds like we're not gonna have enough across the SU, but they're making it around the city.
Yeah, I think it's different based on sport and level, sport and age. So it's hard to give you a number because I mean varsity and 7, 8 and 5, 6, 3, 4 are all making different amounts, and basketball is typically more than soccer because it's a longer season, more games.
so all these communities have ADs, right? So can Mike Grow as AD reach out and find out what
Yeah,
they're paying?
and I just went on like because it's public, so a Rutland middle school soccer coach is like $3,100. And for me, I understand like levels, but it's all the same. It's the same time, whether you're
But we really can't do a whole lot with this until.
I mean, I don't think so. I think it's not gonna have a major impact on the budget. I think we hold off. Like I said, we can come back with a recommendation at the next meeting as to what we should budget. I think the big items that we really need some feedback on tonight would be those large facility projects. Or do we want to do anything for the sound system? Do we want to do anything for bleachers? Is it a need or a want? Is now the right time to do those things?
Will we have any more, we won't have any more firm numbers by the next meeting, right? As far as like the yield and all that, you said?
No. Well, the yield will have an estimate at the December 1st tax submission letter.
I mean, walking in and seeing this, I'm like, yes. And then you say, oh, it could be 11%. So then I'm like, oh, like, so, I mean, 11% is a lot different than 1.9, so.
Yeah, this is what we have a little control over.
Plus, when the yield comes in, they decide who they want to pay. So we don't know the number yet. We can only do what we can do, and then they get to decide, okay, well, here's the total budget, and it's gonna go up 11%, doesn't mean
What?
all the towns did,
Yeah.
but we're all gonna pay for it, so.
Mhm.
What if we ran this through our, like, last year's numbers? What does it look like for our own town? Because we still have
Go
are we
Lewis.
getting 9 cents this year? We're still getting a rebate for the next 3, right? Must take it away from us. Like we got a 17-cent discount 2 years ago, and then last year went down to 14 or 11. I'm paraphrasing, but we still have like 3 years left of the rate reduction. And as we know, the CLA formula hasn't changed, so it's us against the median CLA, so we're not.
Yeah, so we still do receive the incentive. I have not run it through the calculator yet. And at this time, I think there's just too many, it would just be too many variables to even to try and do that.
What was?
It'd be too many assumptions.
Yeah, what was our tax rate last year? I should have that. One up.
So when we budgeted, what we advertised to the community was an 11.6% decrease last year because of the increase in the yield and the changes that were made. But then the governor gave back money and changed the yield. I don't have, do you know what that number was up, man? Chris, I don't.
No, I don't. Yeah, finals, we can have it for the next meeting for discussion.
I mean, I'm fine with, I mean, we talked about this sound system for the past couple of years. I mean, well, I wouldn't scrap it. I'd like to see it like what it looks like in next meeting's budget. Can you share you just got the quote, could you share that in the drive for the next meeting too? Just kind of see
Mhm.
what $88,000 gets you.
Mhm.
So, that'd be kind of important. And I think things that taxpayers want to hear too, like what they're actually.
Mhm. Yeah, and it may help for Greg because he really worked with them on, and that's what he said. He's like, you have a great sized gym, you know, all those things that are great about facility wise about the school. And he's like, you have nothing in here. And we just had some dated stuff too. I know when I started, it was just things broke and
Mike tried to put stuff in there.
yeah, you do what you can.
Yeah, and then it takes a lot of time to set up things that you're dragging in and out. If it was set up, it'd be such a time saver. and
Right.
So efficient.
And then you have multiple tech people here that could be at other schools, you know, all of that.
Yeah, I set up a lot of assemblies and it would take a long time
Mhm.
to set it up. And then it wouldn't always work right.
Yeah. No, that can still happen.
Mhm.
Any other feedback before we move on?
Nothing here. So feeling pretty good. So the variables that we'll see. So. You good, Colin? All right. Moving on. Superintendent's report.
Thanks, Tim. I just have, two items to review, and one is, on October 27th, I did have the pleasure once again of, heading up to University of Vermont for the Outstanding Educator Ceremony. I know that, earlier this year, we talked about, we did revamp the way we recognize our GRCSU Educator of the Year, that we selected, an individual from each building, and then from that pool, we then selected two candidates, and one of the candidates that was selected was Jill Alderman from Rutland Town. But I was able to go up to the ceremony and represent the Rutland Town and the GRCSU. A very nice ceremony. It's a great evening. And I know you said you were going to go.
I was
See-
there,
Yeah,
yeah.
you guys just see
The
it, but,
alumni, I was so proud.
so
I'm
that-
proud of Jill.
Yes.
number one, and the other teachers there.
Yes, and Linda McEwen from Proctor as
It
well.
was-
It's just,
yes,
it's a great
amazing.
night recognizing education and educators, and particularly with everything that's been going on with Act 73 and the destabilizing, forces and conversations, to just have an evening where you're recognizing just, the great individuals we have working within our schools and our systems. But I just want to congratulate Jill once again. And Jill will be eligible to apply to be the 2027 Teacher of the Year. So I would encourage Jill to do that. So, but fingers crossed for that. I also, in the board packet, the information I have around the Vermont Redistricting Task Force is a little bit outdated. I did have an opportunity this afternoon to watch the Redistricting Task Force meeting. This was a important meeting because it was kind of the last convening. They were decided on a map or maps they're going to send to the legislator. And so in an update that I sent out, I think around 4:30, maybe about an hour and a half ago, or hour before the meeting, the redistricting task force had settled on a map or a model, and that is the coordinated services model, or the CSA, which was interesting because earlier in the meeting, Secretary Saunders said that was a map or model that did not meet the requirements of Act 73 and would not support it. But that was the map or model that they're going to push forward. So the CTE model that had gained some steam in the past couple weeks was voted down, so that'll not be going forward. So what the next steps will be is
Sorry, it's a walkie-talkie and I didn't know what was going on.
That's okay.
Sorry.
So
Like, who is talking?
effectively, the redistricting task force, will pose a first draft of the reports. That's done on the 17th, will be shared with the members on the 20th. They'll meet to prepare their final draft reports, which will then go before the legislature. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this regional services model. But like I said, I'll keep you updated as I receive updates or I see what's going on. So just want to touch base. I know a lot of people are asking about what's going to happen and what's that map going to look like. And so the task force has settled on a map that they will be analyzing and preparing go for the legislature. And then December 1st, the legislature starts discussing and trying to figure that out. So it should be an interesting legislative session, to say the least. And one of the things I would note in the this model is centered around the 5 superintendents regions. So like the Southwest Vermont, which comprises ourselves, Mill River, Rutland City, Rutland Northeast, Bennington, Rutland. So it's a pretty large area. That is kind of where this regional coordinated services model would kind of center on. And they would, one of the things they kept talking about was not having any forced closures, but voluntary mergers, which can be very disruptive, as we've seen. We've heard a lot of conversations lately in the newspapers about districts, just inviting others to be a part, or without both parties even being aware of the invitation. So it's just hopefully this won't be further destabilizing for our communities and for our educators. So we'll keep you posted on what's going on. So thank you. So, yeah. And the rest, as I said, just informational. So I'm more happy to. I did, like I said, I had an opportunity to attend the VSA, VSBA fall conference. Really is based around trust and effective board governance, dealing with conflicts, and I think it's something which is that our boards could just continue to take a look at. Just as we look at GRCSU and some of the issues we'll have navigating some of these complex conversations, whether it be locally or across the SU. It's important for us to remember that, how to handle good conflict.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Any questions for Chris? All right. Principal's report.
All right, thank you. Lifetime Sports is underway. So if any parents want to volunteer, please contact Sherry or Lauren in the office for fingerprint and background checks. I'd like to thank Colby's been a huge help with Keith and with Bailey, just for logistics. Thank you to Colin as well for all your help. So this year, K2 is going to do more of a rotation. So they'll be able to try a few things instead of committing to one thing for those 6 sessions. And we're hoping to offer swimming this year, as well as indoor golf. Swimming if we can get a lifeguard. Keith Schneider, our PE teacher for our younger students, sat outside for a parent teacher and student led conference to get a little booth. So he was trying to get any parents that didn't fill out the survey to sign up their children. So he did that. High school fair was held last week. We had a good turnout. Parent teacher conference, student led, great turnout for numbers again. Mr. Hescock, Mrs. Yaddo, and Miss A have been doing some SEL lessons. I don't know if you want to chat a little about that, Colby.
Yeah, no, we have a goal of monthly having SEL lessons across our school, K-8. So Miss Yaddo, Miss Arnold, and myself started doing that in the last few weeks. Our goal is tied to the monthly character trait that Kate Manaville does with the younger grades. So our current one is all about perseverance. So we've had some kind of grade appropriate activities that in the middle school have happened usually around TA time, and elementary school have been around their snack time, that are fun, engaging, and I think help, bring to the forefront some conversation around social and emotional learning. So that's been fun to get in the classroom and do those things.
We also have had an increase in bullying and harassment this year. I think we talked a little bit about that at a previous board meeting. So the same group of people, we've been going around to middle school and 3rd and 4th grade. We chatted with our PLC leaders. And just doing some more education around what it means, what's the definition, and then communicating with families as well. We had a great staff bus. We were hoping to get 2,000 items. We came just shy of that. So a huge thanks to all families that donated all of those non-perishable food items. Those were all picked up. If anybody saw Miss Vanderville's office, the whole entire office was packed full of stuff in there. So she was finally able to get into her office today, which was great. EST, first cycle of intervention, Sabers for SEL was completed. We continue to look at, our student data, not just our FastBridge, but holistically how our students are doing. 5th and 6th grade student-led assemblies, those kids are doing a great job. Our FastBridge reports were shared with families, and then we continue to discuss data in our weekly PLC meetings. There's a number of things listed here. I won't read through all of them for the physical plant, some of which we already talked about. Some happening celebrations and upcoming events. One thing I did not include in here was Jen Tift and Katie McDougall received $15,000 grant from Vermont Liquor and Lottery. So we had people from the AOE and Vermont Liquor and Lottery that came to observe how this money is being spent. And it was incredible. And every single person that came here wants to come back again, which is pretty telling. So they will be back to visit again.
Scratch offs.
I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there are, same challenges that I've talked about before. Our enrollment numbers are down there as well. Because we talk about budget time, Sherry and Sarah Taylor, our early childhood coordinator, we expect right now approximately 30 kindergarten kids coming. So that's a rough estimate, but that's a solid number. So that's good. And then Tyler Wiedemann, our curriculum coordinator, sent just a quick list for Colby and I just to share with the board. I know we're not doing, I think, Tim, you said sell the sizzle or something like that last time with
Sell the sizzle.
Sell the sizzle with our FastBridge reports, but all of our scores seem great. Again, it's a snapshot, it's a screener. It doesn't mean that this is exactly where your kid's out. It's on a given day. So for our K1, our early reading scores, I'm just going to go to like high risk because that's who we really focus on. We focus on all of our kids, but that's only 5% of our students were flagged at high risk. 71 were low risk. So CBM reading, 15% were high risk. Auto reading, 9%. So the rest were low or some. A reading, 10% were high risk. So we had about 40% were actually advanced, which is pretty awesome. Early math, which is K1, we had 4% at low risk.
High risk.
Or pardon me.
Sorry, that's a typo.
It's a typo, high risk. It's okay. But again, 4% is pretty low number. And then A math, we had 5% at the high risk again. So everything in between was advanced, low, and some. So for A math grades 2 through 9, we had 41% of our students were advanced, which is incredible. So I don't know if you have any questions on just that quick snapshot, no sizzle graphs. Okay. Thanks to Tyler, and then Colby was filling in a few gaps here just before the meeting on some numbers, so thank you.
You, any questions? I don't have much to share on the chair report. I just want to mention the QR code. So we're looking for emails from community members and parents and things that want to the SU's building a MailChimp email list so that we can share out, one to 3 times a month, just pertinent information, any updates as far as Act 73 goes, anything like that, upcoming budget information, meeting minutes, things like that. So you'll see that QR code, I believe, on the Rutland Town School website.
Yes.
I will ask to have it included in the newsletter under the board segment of the newsletter. And I encourage all parents to sign up, but I also encourage you to tell your neighbors, mention it to them so that we can sort of broaden the scope of this information getting out. It seems to sometimes stop at the media school community. So I think it'd be a good resource, very user friendly, all the information right there at your fingertips. So that's just want to offer out that piece. Then next up would be contract recommendations, which are in the packet and will be included in the board minutes. It's informational only. Also, the vacancies are available. If you'd like to take a look at that. And no old business. So then we will move on to district quality standards board self-evaluation. Chris, do you mind giving a layman's terms to that?
Yeah, so
Three of us have dealt with it, but
yeah, so what each board had, there's just quality standards and there's the EQS, the ed quality standards. So the AOE and VSBA have revamped what's called DQS, just quality standards. And it's basically this year it's a beta test for boards to kind of undergo self-reflection, kind of see where they're at, and then where they need to be. So the ultimate goal, I believe, is that boards engage in this process, typically during, say, a retreat, and they look to see if they are beginning or approaching, then they will set like an action plan over the next year in terms of, well, how can we then move to a proficient or move to the next step? So it's a kind of that sliding scale. So it's just really, it's meant for board growth, but also for board members and boards as a whole, from a governance standpoint, just to better understand what effective governance looks like, what they should be engaged in, what they should be doing. So, Tim, if you want, I can share it on the screen.
yeah, if you want to, it's not in our packet.
Because it's just the length of it. It's just to save copies. So it is in the resource folder, but I can share this screen. So. You guys read that, there's some other stuff, but. I try to print out some copies real quick while we're.
Yeah, that's fine if you want to read them.
Okay.
Yeah, so Colin will read through these.
Okay.
And then, I mean, this is purely my perspective, but having done it at the SU piece, I feel like some of these, one, were almost outside of the scope of the supervisory union. so as we read these, some might even be even a little further from, you know, like our purview, in my opinion. So I think we kind of take a broad brush on this, particularly at the beta level, to try to give them some, you know, something to kind of chew on and kind of move their perspective a little bit. I mean, you know, some parts like where's this information going and what's going to come about with it once it gets there? And does anyone have any idea?
I think it might be more self-evaluated. What do you think?
Well, yes, there is a self-evaluation piece to this. I know that I have to enter. So each board, I mean, you're right. You'll see, and this is something which we see all the time. They use interchange with the SU and SD, you know, supervisory union. But they did ask, for the sake of exercise, that all local district boards within SU engage in the process. So when I go to the tool, you know, it really is just a checkbox. So I know that Eric Mombrand was on the committee that helped develop this DQS. So he does, you know, so if there's feedback, I know when we did GRCSU, spent a lot of time like wordsmithing and looking at words, and I don't know if we need to get down to that level of detail right now. If there are issues that we have with a certain, you know, category or domain, you know, we could just let Tim know, and Tim can just, you know, move back to Eric and we get back to the committee. But really, I think for this, this particular one is just for the board, just to realize, like, say for standard 113 and 1.1, around the, follows an inclusive process to invite and incorporate community input in the vision and goals for the school system. Really just to look to see where you're at. And so if it's something which, if the board say that we're beginning, that gives them something to work from. So there's nothing, there's not a punitive aspect to this. It really is more in terms of looking at growth. And so I know a lot of boards start off with just the idea that if you have a foot in two categories, you always go from left to right. So if we're looking at, well, we're approaching, but we also are beginning, you would just mark yourself as beginning. And there are really no penalties to this. It really is just more, like I said, reflection, but eventually it would be around the board growth. That's over the course of the year that, you would set goals, you would set a work plan around a few items, and how, as a board, we can, more effectively govern.
So just two quick questions that I can wrap my head around this.
I didn't really answer your question, Tim. I don't know what's gonna happen once I enter the, I can't wait, it's like with anything.
Well,
I enter it and it goes up to in the AOE world. I don't know what they do with it to the VSBA, but it is a beta. They're gonna calibrate based on this, so.
I think it's a blueprint for what they're trying to set districts' quality standards for the eventual regional boards. I'd like to see happen.
Sure.
Make us do a nice exercise. I mean, after going through it once, I think there's some things we should drill into. Like, if we are truly giving ourselves a self-assessment and we are at the beginning, or not even touching one of these, have a reason for why we're not doing it and or work on that. But other than that, we don't need to.
Yeah, because we set our goals,
Burn
and
the
I
candle.
think this,
Yeah.
it kind of meshes with us setting our goals. We had to do that earlier this year. And there is a vision and mission. I think these things coincide with that.
I just want to
It's just a
ensure
whole
that,
test. I think positively.
excellent. All right. So, yeah, we can get working on this, and if good things come out, well, we can keep this in mind for our board retreat. Kind of focus on this. Yeah.
That's right.
Do you mind reading that?
Standard 113.1.1, the board follows an inclusive process to invite and incorporate community input into the vision and goals of the school system, beginning, approaching, proficient, or advanced. I'd say coming into my third year, we're very proficient at this. We have a very inclusive process, limited public input just from lack of showing up, but when they do, we're very communicative. I think we've had some significant dialogue when it comes to town meeting holidays, so we're very inclusive with the community, as well as taking input directly from our admin on what they need, what they want, and I would put us at proficient.
Yeah, I feel good about that. I mean, I can understand why they want, why the end goal is advanced, but that's, I guess you set lofty goals, so.
Standard 113.1.2, at least annually, the board sets measurable goals and regularly reviews the process towards those goals.
Go straight to proficient, see if that works for us.
In proficient, borderlining on advanced, I think, we tailored our measurable goals to what we wanted to see. Chris sculpted his evaluation, his goals around what we were looking to do. I think we've done a really good job the last 2 years of stepping it up from just broad-based goals of yada yada to, like, we wanted to set communication as a very important, after failing the budget a couple of years back, communicating to the public around what the budget is, what the changes are. Our superintendent building his goal, one of his significant goals around communicating with the public. I think we've done a tremendous job. Hopefully getting the community up to speed on what's going on around us.
Yeah, we're trying.
And we're definitely doing that at least annually.
Mhm.
Even though the world around us is shifting more than annually.
Yeah, proficient sounds right. Advanced just includes community engagement, which is something for us to consider, how you get more input.
Standard 113.1.3, at least annually, the board monitors student academic progress and wellness. I don't need to take what we're talking all, but I think again, proficient, borderline, advanced, we have a set schedule throughout the school board system, both at the SU and the local district of Sarah and the team putting out all the medical data we have.
Yeah, that showed teamwork, because with the administrators, they have the data, they're so organized and share it with us and the public. You think advanced? It's not
If
advanced.
anything, if we could go to the reporting boards back to them, I'd say they're at the beginning, given that some of the data we were reviewing this year was from a year ago, it doesn't really help us. And it's not the fault of our team or our schedules, the lack of getting data at the right time. So that's just
Standardized test data.
that they took 2 Marches ago that we got this year. That
Yeah, that's. the
told you how you
thing.
did 2 years ago. That was more of a shot at people listening or not. Don't put that in. Standard 113.1.4, at least annually, the board formally evaluates the performance of the superintendent based in part on the superintendent's progress toward meeting agreed upon goals.
We
Do you
did
recall what
that.
SU did with that?
They shared it with our superintendent.
Like what we do end up landing at the SU level, so I feel like it should match. They did.
Yeah, because it was an SU.
They marked themselves as proficient. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because we all participated, or
The three of us did.
the team that participated.
It's technically not our job because we don't hire the superintendent, but the SU board does. That's an example, all proficient.
Yeah.
We're moving on to 113.1.4. At least annually, the board formally evaluates performance of the superintendent.
That's, we'll move on to the next one. That's where there's traditional or policy governance. So we did the traditional, we don't have to do the policy. So we can go on to the next one.
I don't know what you said, but that sounds good.
Well, there are 2 types of board governance. There's traditional, which what we are, then there's policy governance, which we're not. So they have 113.1.4 is divided into 2 categories. So you just have to do 1 category.
So we'll go to that. 113.2.1, the board annually assesses its performance, including adherence to agreed protocols, processes, and policies. Doing that right now.
I think we're advanced. Advanced includes a timeline.
That's the proficient. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we.
Advances.
That
The annual
maybe-
plan work includes an established timeframe to which policy and procedures and operating protocols are reviewed and updated.
We could do that next time.
No, yeah, I'm fine with proficient. I think the advanced part is at a SU level anyway, so. We don't have our own policy committee.
Standard 113.2.2, the board annually reviews whether and or how its actions and contributions have impacted the school system's success in meeting its goals.
No. We're beginning. I don't know how we would evaluate our contributions. I don't know. Nice to know. I guess by passing budget. But it's just. Yes. And question.
What's the bottom part of proficient?
What are our goals?
Like annually, the board reviews its work plan, refines goals, and identifies actions it needs to achieve the goals.
Think back to our goals and how. we-
Okay, proficient, but
Like in Wally's.
that's not an A plus, it's an A. Pass budget.
Passing, yeah. I shouldn't say A, that's old fashioned. Oh, yeah, it's about, our goals were about 73, keeping the budget in focus and continued positive climate and culture. So,
How specifically our board has contributed to that. So we're
Yeah,
certainly
how
not
do we
contributing
know?
to not making our goals, is my point. We communicated effectively into the budget session last year. I think from personal experience, seeing the five of you, like very positive impact on keeping this environment the way it is around town. Not that we have patrol. Sarah's doing an awesome job with her team and the superintendent down, but I think we're all doing our part to contribute to the success that we wanted to have. We're not certainly having infights or massive letters to the editor, negative. So I honestly think we're very proficient.
well, we have certain actions that we are taking, because we have a communication committee, and we work with Act 73 through the superintendent to meet these goals. So approaching certainly is a. Yeah, we are taking actions, sure. We do every week or a month. Yeah, we do review these goals, don't we, every year, and that's what annually is. So you're right.
I think we're supposed to.
I'll agree with
next
you.
month.
I was looking at it differently, but I agree with you now that I'm thinking about it.
Standard 113.2.3. The board annually evaluates the effectiveness of community engagement and public communication efforts.
Well, that's why I hope people will do that QR code, because we'll find out, if people are looking at it and contributing, because right now it's hard to know who's listening and what they're thinking, except for a handful of people that we talk to. So it's something that we're working on, and that MailChimp is a way to find out if people are engaged with the information. The other things we do are just informational, but it's hard to know if anyone's listening. Like a teacher giving a lesson, you don't know if the kids are really sitting there listening or if they're just nodding their head.
This one would obviously give us a beginning.
It could be, and it's
We're
okay.
not, I mean, it's asking, are we capturing data or not?
No, not
We
yet.
know, I mean, we have the ability through the website, uses how many people are pinging the specific board site, how many people are pinging the QR codes. So we're beginning this process. We have no data. We have not been collecting information on our community engagement rates. And I think obviously there's other districts that are far superior technically, probably not in the state, maybe South Burlington, but they have marketing folks that work with district that utilize those electronic tools to capture. So many people are hitting the website, so many people are hitting that. We're just not there.
Yeah, the only time we do is if it's a meeting and you could see the attendance, or if you go like to a forum and you had it there. So
I'm okay with beginning.
that's okay, something to work on. Growth mindset.
This comes back to
You
like
do a good job reading too.
horse and water. We have the water, so we can't bring the horses.
Probably one of his elementary teachers helped you with your reading.
She was on maternity leave. I'm not supposed to have it.
Oh, yeah. Now you're helping me. with lots of-
We're gonna go to standard 113.2.4. The board undertakes its own continuous learning and development, provides members with opportunities for ongoing training and support to maintain and increase their skills and understanding.
Oh, yeah, I remember this one. Yeah, about the learning, like I do, the Vermont School Board Association gives so much information and I do every lesson or every every webinar that they offer, but you don't have to do that. And
I think we're very proficient. We're doing training.
yeah, at least, yeah.
Probably not, because it's
People do, and it's fine. I hope it
I
helps.
would say, I think yes, you would put a function for this. Just because the board tracks
Yeah.
member participation in training, which we don't track.
Yeah.
So I think that's where
Good point.
that's where the SU kind of got stuck.
We're approaching.
I'm just trying to get up to speed with.
You're
Oh, yeah.
proficient. It's good to try.
I'm trying. This is a whole new ballgame.
So. Why not do 113.3.1?
Nope,
I do.
Yeah.
All right, standard 113.3.1. The board discusses, adopts, and revises policies on a regular basis to ensure the system is supporting and meeting the needs of every student. For the SU, but
to be proficient.
it's a policy
There's
committee falls
there's
under
a
the SU.
committee.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or simply following policies and timelines when we're having reads. So we're proficient.
Trouble with that.
Standard 113.3.2. The board ensures its annual budget aligns with its stated priorities and provides an equitable distribution of resources to help meet the goals, the needs and goals of every student.
So,
It's like proficient, hitting the budget addresses specific budget drivers such as per student costs, per pupil basis, student staff ratios, projected tax rates. We go through every year, SUSD goals,
mhm.
capital plans, which we went over tonight, facility needs.
Yeah, thanks to Lewis and the superintendent, you can't help but be proficient. It's everything we need. All right, I like it all. Yes, too.
Proficient.
It's fine.
Proficient or
Research,
proficient.
it's a little deep.
I just didn't know. I could just write it down. So
Yeah, proficient, obviously, that advanced, the board monitors student outcomes to ensure that the investments made meet the needs of every student and advance those outcomes. When possible, the annual budget proposal includes investment, research-based practices that identify equity gaps and correspond to identified district priorities. So I'm gonna go with proficient.
Yeah, I don't think. Having that deep.
Well, the outcome should be that human being when they're 40s, not how they do in ninth grade, but that's a different story.
I agree.
Standard 113.3.3, the board ensures its members are aware of conditions set forth in negotiated agreements and contracts.
Oh, that's shit, I know.
yeah, SU play approaching.
Board members have access to review negotiated agreements and contracts. Standard 113.3.4, the board ensures its members understand and comply with Vermont statutes and regulations relevant to board work and public education. approaching?
Proficient talks, I remember this conversation at the SU because it talks in proficient about Robert's Rule of Order and public records. I mean, that's something that you follow so well. You see, you know, the team follows that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm probably changed.
A little broad base. I think everyone's, as it pertains to board work, everyone's understanding what Robert's rules are as it pertains to public education statutes. I don't think many of us at the table sit around and rip them off that easily.
Find a lawyer that can without looking up the statute.
Yeah. That's the approach.
We're aware of, but maybe not so. Sufficient.
113.3.5, the board stays apprised of proposed legislation and policy making that may affect its school systems and students.
Oh, yeah. That's what we're doing nonstop these days because they're right.
The board reviews proposed upcoming legislation changes at least once during the Vermont legislative session. At least one board member is responsible for tracking applicable legislation and keeping the board updated.
So we have that.
Well, we are doing advanced, but we have a system to keep community members apprised, thanks to our superintendent and our communication tools with the circle and now the QR code and the school website,
I mean, where would
town
that,
website.
like, if you're providing us with all that information, do we even need to designate one board member to?
Judging by the rubric, I'd say we're approaching, because we can't say that we have a board member that's dedicated to tracking
Okay.
applicable
That's
legislation.
something we'd have to appoint somebody to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd say approaching. Standard 113.3.6, the board maintains an ongoing relationship with local elected officials. Board has an established process for regular communication with its locally elected officials, especially during the legislative session.
We've had people come but it's not a regular thing.
We don't, we're approaching, yeah, we don't have a regular. communication.
Approaching. Yeah, because we know who people are and we've talked to people.
I mean, I think we do the actions of a lot of these, but we
We don't have an established process.
Yeah.
Like, we should get them.
Oh, that's the end. That was fast. You know, I'd love a copy of that, and I really think that it'd be really nice to have people look at it, or have us look at it and say, well, this will be something I'm gonna try to make a difference with. If it's not approaching, or if it's not proficient.
Where do we send
No, I
this?
don't
AOE?
want to do one.
What's that?
Where are we sending this?
There's AOE collects this data.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whether they do anything with it or not, it's usually.
That I don't know.
Are they doing the same
Yeah.
360 evaluation and the process that's updating me on what's
Not
going on?
quite certain, but.
Can you give us, or give me a copy of this? Or
Of the actual rubric or with the rubric with
with
our
answers?
scores?
Yeah.
Sure, I can box something up and then place that in the board folder for next month.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's up.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Love that.
all right. Thank you guys for your input on that.
Thank you. Good work.
Next meeting, December 9th. Is there there's no complex on that date, right? Teacher, staff, community. Good for that. All right. executive session. I didn't put in there, but does anyone have any good and welfare to share?
Well, I have one more before we go to that. Is that public? Like, we do have a date on the calendar coming up for mediation, right?
We do the 17th, yes.
All right. So I don't want to say out loud, but we do have a meeting
Yes.
since we talked. So
November.
hopefully we can have some positive outcomes out of that.
That would be good and welfare, actually. Be great for the community.
It is there. So.
Right, let's see, this Saturday is a fall fest right here. And there's gonna be all sorts of vehicles for the kids to touch and get in or talk to the people that are driving them. And then there's some games, and I have a photo spot with some things they could, like a group picture of kids with their friends or their family. That's my contribution. And the photo spot construction, it's called the workshop. All this workshop. That's gonna be fun. So anyway, that's from only 10 to 12. So don't sleep too late, and because it'll be over before you wake up. But it'll be really good fun. The PTO, it's sponsored by the PTO, and they're really working to get community involvement. Excited for that.
I forgot to mention that during parent teacher and student led conferences on Thursday, we got notification that there was a transformer, like some pole that was on fire.
In Proctor.
In Proctor, and Proctor had like no electricity. So Colby and I were saying, we're like, oh no, student led conferences.
Oh,
So we had messaged Greg, our director of IT, and all of the tech team was up at a conference in Killington. And so Colby was thinking, let's do like hotspots if teachers were able and willing. So with Colby's help, I held the phone and he started unplugging things with Greg and Milt's help just over the phone, because we basically had to disable and power off everything.
All of our routers.
All of the routers, like everything. And then to troubleshoot so some teachers used my phone, Colby's phone, their own phone. And I had a teacher that was here volunteering for the 8th grade trip, bake sale and basket raffle. By the way, Colby and I both won something. Exciting. And they had just commented, that person works at another school, like, you guys are so calm. Like with no internet, like teachers were amazing. They just went with the flow, because I'm thinking we don't want to cancel and reschedule. And
I
we're
think
here.
that was through the whole district. I think everybody figured it out.
Yeah.
And did it. That's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just huge, thanks to Colby and Mill and Greg that are communicating with us in the evening. And I kept, apologizing. And Greg's like, don't apologize. Like, that's what we're here for. And our team was incredible. Parents were great. Kids kind of panicked. Like, oh, I'm like, it's okay. Like, we're going to have a hotspot.
that's really leadership, because that's not something Colby or Sarah that they teach you in principal class.
She said first time
Yeah,
in 14
unplug-
years, so I jotted that down as, oh, nice.
Yeah. So
First time for me too.
every week I tell Colby, this is the first time I've ever so as he's like walking down to the server room, he's like, hey, have you ever, I'm like, nope, never done this before either. Here we go again. Let's keep our weekly streak up of things like that.
And I think all conferences were able to happen on schedule, which
Yeah.
is, the biggest positive. I think, again, to reiterate, our team was amazing,
Mhm.
rolled with the punches. I think families that were in for conferences were very flexible and understanding through the process. And we still had an opportunity for both, parent-teacher conferences and then student-led conferences, which affected even more so, because all those are up in Google Slides that require the internet to share the information. They all, continue to go off without a hitch, which was great. So
That's leadership. That's
And
problem solving for sure.
Yeah, and I think it gave, Greg actually said it was kind of good. There's, the glass is always half full, because it gave the tech team feedback on maybe some things that, we have a generator here, just things that maybe could be done differently, possibly. So it was good feedback. So then afterwards, everything's unplugged, and Colby's like, I'll come back, in the morning, we'll plug everything back in. So I'm like, I don't want to touch any, I don't know what's going on here. And then I'm like, wait, can we get in the building? I had a panic because everything is electric. So I'm like, wait, Are we like locked in? You know, can we get in once we get out? It was fine. Everything was fine.
We all got in and all got back up and running before the school day.
Yeah,
So,
Colby plugged
we're all
everything
good.
back in. It
Good
was
job.
all good. Yeah.
I always did go to you for tech. I
I try.
Yeah, anything? You good?
Good. Make a motion to adjourn.
In favor?
Right?
Bye.
Sounds good.